When a single dad named Daniel woke up each morning, his world revolved around only two things: getting his daughter Lily ready for school and doing everything he could to keep life steady after losing his wife. He was not rich, he was not perfect, and most days he struggled just to keep himself together. But what made him special was something money could never buy: he had a heart that noticed people others ignored. One cold evening, as the sun was dipping behind the buildings and the streets were beginning to fill with tired faces heading home, Daniel took Lily to their favorite small park. It was the only place where Lily could laugh freely and Daniel could breathe. As she ran toward the swings, Daniel saw a woman sitting alone on a bench near the trees. She wasn't dressed warmly enough for the evening cold, her shoulders curled inward, her hands clasped tightly as if holding onto the last thread of strength she had. Most people walked past her without even a glance, but Daniel couldn't. There was something in her eyes: fear, sadness, exhaustion, all trying desperately to stay hidden. She didn't look dangerous. She didn't look lost. She looked defeated, like someone who had run out of chances and didn't expect any more. Daniel hesitated. He didn't want to intrude. He didn't want to make her uncomfortable. But he noticed she kept wiping her eyes, pretending she was fixing her hair, and every few minutes she looked at the playground, not with joy, but with longing. A longing for a life she could only remember, not live. After a few minutes, Lily ran back to him breathless and smiling. "Daddy, that lady is sad," she whispered. "Can we help her?" That was all Daniel needed. He walked over slowly, giving her enough space so she wouldn't feel threatened. "Excuse me, are you all right?" he asked gently. The woman startled, quickly shaking her head as if waking up from a heavy dream. "I'm fine," she said, forcing a smile that only made her look more broken. "Just resting." Daniel nodded. "If you need anything, even just someone to talk to, we're right here." She looked at him, confused by his kindness. Most strangers avoided people who looked like her, people who seemed like they carried too much pain. But Daniel didn't look away. And for the first time that day, she took a slow breath. "My name is Emma," she whispered. "And, honestly, I'm not fine. But I don't want to bother anyone." Daniel told her she wasn't a bother at all, and Lily offered her a tiny, warm smile that could melt the hardest heart. Slowly, Emma opened up. She had moved to the city recently hoping for a job, but everything had gone wrong. The place she stayed at wasn't safe, she had barely any money left, and she was too embarrassed to ask for help. She was looking for a chance, but none came. Daniel listened without judgment. He didn't see a burden, he saw a human being who needed someone to believe in her. "Come have dinner with us," he said. "Nothing fancy, just a warm meal and a place to breathe." Emma immediately refused, shaking her head with panic, but Daniel reassured her. This wasn't charity. This wasn't pity. This was simply kindness, something he and Lily lived by. That night, Emma sat at their small dinner table, trying not to cry as Lily talked about school, drawings, and her dreams of becoming a teacher. For the first time in weeks, Emma laughed. Not loudly, not fully, but enough to remind herself she was still alive. After dinner, Daniel noticed Emma looking at the "Help Wanted" flyers on his fridge. She told him she used to work in administration, she was organized, and she was trying to find anything to get back on her feet. Daniel paused for a moment, remembering something important. His friend owned a small community center nearby and had been searching for someone responsible to help manage schedules and paperwork. It wasn't a huge job, but it was a start, exactly what Emma needed. "Would you like me to recommend you?" he asked. Emma froze. You'd do that for me?" Daniel nodded. "Everyone needs a first chance. Or sometimes, a second." Emma covered her mouth and tears spilled instantly. She wasn't crying because of the job, she was crying because someone finally looked at her like she mattered. Over the next few days, Daniel helped her prepare for the interview. Lily sat with her while she practiced speaking. They laughed together. They shared their stories. Emma told them about her childhood, her dreams, and how life had taken a turn she never expected. She had been trying so hard to stay strong, but strength was useless when no one saw your struggle. And for the first time, she felt seen. When the day of the interview arrived, Emma stood in front of the community center trembling. Daniel wasn't allowed inside, but he placed his hand on her shoulder. "Go show them who you are," he whispered. The interview lasted 30 minutes. When she stepped outside, she was shaking, but smiling. "They hired me," she said, her voice breaking. They actually hired me. That evening, Emma hugged Lily first. Then Daniel. It was the first warm hug she'd given in months. You both saved me, she whispered. You gave me the space I needed to breathe again. Daniel shook his head. We didn't save you. You were already strong. You just needed someone to remind you. Weeks passed, and Emma blossomed. She found a safe place to live, she bought herself new clothes, and slowly she began to look like a person with hope, not someone carrying invisible weights. She visited Daniel and Lily often, bringing small gifts, cooking meals, helping with homework. She became part of their little world in a way none of them expected. One night, after Lily had gone to sleep, Emma and Daniel sat in the living room talking. They spoke about life, about loss, about the nights that felt endless. And then Emma said something that left Daniel silent. I wasn't just waiting for a chance, she whispered. I was waiting for someone to see me. And you did. Daniel looked at her, really looked at her. He hadn't helped her because he expected anything in return. But somewhere along the way, Emma had become someone he cared about, someone whose smile made his day lighter, someone who brought warmth into a home that had been too quiet for too long. I saw you, he replied softly. Because you never stopped trying, even when life tried to break you. Emma smiled, a real smile this time, one filled with strength and gratitude. Your one decision, to speak to me, it changed everything. Daniel shook his head. No, you changed it. You walked forward. You fought. All I did was hold the door open. But Emma knew the truth. Sometimes life doesn't need a miracle. Sometimes it just needs one brave person who cares enough to act. One person who says, I see you. I believe in you. And that one decision is enough to change everything. That night, Daniel looked in on his daughter sleeping peacefully, her tiny hand resting on her toy bear. He whispered a quiet thank you to the world, not for luck, but for the reminder that kindness is never small, and compassion always returns in unexpected ways. Emma had walked into his life broken, but she didn't stay broken. She stood up. She fought. She rebuilt. And in that journey, she gave Daniel something he didn't even know he was missing, hope. Their story wasn't about romance, though love could blossom one day. It wasn't about charity. It was about humanity. About the strength found in kindness and the courage found in vulnerability. One single dad. One struggling woman. One small choice, and everything changed.